Hello, everybody. So today we're going to focus a lot of our attention on aspects of construction and evaluation that aren't necessarily explicitly said on the ARE 5.5 handbook. Like contractors qualification statement, bid bond, um, and the form for substantial completion and what those looks like. They are all included on the A201 a little bit in one way or another, but they are not sort of clearly stated, and their importance is huge, honestly. Like, you have to understand what they are, otherwise you don't know what they're talking about. And then I'm also going to refer to the project resource manual, which is a resource that I haven't seen many people utilizing, that I think is very, very, very good for construction evaluation. And we're going to use it just for background and to understand certain things and jump from one thing to another very quickly. So the first one is contractor's qualification statement. So it's the document A305. I'm not sure if there is any other version of it, but the 1986 is the one that I found. All of this is free on the AIA website. And it says, contractor qualification statement. The undersigned certifies under oath that the information provided herein is true and sufficiently complete so as not to be misleading. That statement is saying that you are what you say you are. You're not lying, saying things that you're not, and things like that. And the first thing that you got to fill out is submitted to. Who is it being submitted to? Typically, owner and architect get this, the address, and submitted by, and who was the person that did it, and principal office. So what type of entity they are. Entities, by the way, are very important for practice management. They're actually only important for practice management. The other segments of the exams are not necessarily going to test you on those. We'll understand those. The name of the project, the type of the work that you're doing. Keep in mind, this contractor's qualification statement can be used for anybody: general construction, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, any contractor. So organization. So how many years has your organization been in business as a contractor? Very important. And that's the date from which you got your license as a contractor and your company had already been established as a company to do construction. So it's not like the day that you woke up thinking that you're a contractor, if you were to be a contractor. Now, this is all aimed at the contractor, but we as architects need to understand it so that we can evaluate the contractor appropriately. So how many years has your organization been in business under its present business name? Very important. It's happened many times, at least here in Massachusetts. I've learned of companies that change their names often, and they change their names because they actually either go bankrupt or they do bad business, and they do not want to be associated with the previous entity. But sometimes they are the same people. So why is the name important? Well, it's important to know by how many names you've been known, right? It's like, what are the aliases? Is there any bad reviews about them? Like, let's see what's going on. So it's important to know how many years has your organization been in business under this name. On the what other or former names has your organization operated. It's very important. In the United States, the idea of record is something that you will hear a lot. What's your record? Do you have a record? Do you have a good driving record? Do you have a bad criminal record? Do you have any type of record, right? So record is something that plays into this, right? To know whether you are, competent and reliable and trustworthy, right? So 1.3 is, if your organization is a corporation, answer the following questions. So, and this gives you a little bit of a sense of what corporation structures are, because corporations have a date of incorporation. They must be on a state, like a state, one of the jurisdiction. They have a president, they have a vice president, they have a secretary, and they have a treasurer. And sometimes they may be the same person, by the way. They could be, all of them, pretty much the same person. But actually, not all. Some of them might be, but the president and vice president must be two different people. But the secretary and the treasurer could be the president and the vice president. You can always check that with your attorney on that stuff. But I'm just telling you general information that I know from my experience. If your organization is a partnership, you answer the following. So date of organization, type of partnership, names of general partners. If your organization is individually owned, answer the following question: date of organization, name of owner. So this will be a sole proprietorship, right? That's when it's individual. If the form of your organization is other than those listed above, describe it and name the principal. So the ones that others other than is not listed above, it might be a limited liability company, limited liability partnership, S corporation. But S corporation, I would actually fill it out with this pretty much the same. Say S corporation, see above. I mean this right here. Sorry. They have the same idea. S stands for small corporation. It's a domestic corporation. So then licensing, list jurisdictions and trade categories in which your organization is legally qualified to do business and indicate registration or license numbers if applicable. That's another thing that contractors need to put in there so that you can look them up and see whether they are still licensed, whether their licensors are in good standing and are active. That's very, very important. List jurisdictions in which your organization's partnership or trade name is filed. Filed. So you may have like flow design construction, flow construction in Massachusetts, but also be filed in, like, let's say North Dakota, right? Like they also have established that entity in North Dakota too. So you name where all of those places are filed as an organization. Sorry about that. 3.0 experience. List the categories of work that your organization normally performs with its own forces. These are the things that you do with your own people, not subcontractors, not subcontractors. No, 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 no. Like you got your own carpenter, you say you got your own plumber in house that works it's in your payroll, it's working with you, you put them in there. It's things that you do with your own forces. It might be enabling, it might be digging, it might be framing, it might be any of those things. Okay, so just make sure that you understand all of those different things. Claims and suits. If the answer of any of the questions below, if just attach details. So this is very important. Has your organization ever failed to complete any work awarded to it? They have to disclose it. Are there any judgments, claims, arbitration proceedings, or suits pending or outstanding against your organization or its officers? So they got it, put it in there. And when it says or its officers, it's anybody, let's say Johnson & Johnson Construction, and Peter is part of Johnson & Johnson Construction, and he's been on another company where his name was involved and they had an outstanding claim, or he had a company under his name, Peter and Peter, and then he moved to Johnson & Johnson Construction, and he's got a claim. He's got to put it in there. Now, this is to the best of your knowledge and belief. If you don't know it, if you ask people, they don't seem to know it, then great, that's fine. But if they know about it and they didn't put it, that's a problem. Okay. Has the organization filed any lawsuits or requested arbitration with regard to construction contracts within the last 5 years? Any of that? If you've done any of that. Within the last 5 years, has any officer or principal of your organization ever been an officer or principal of another organization when it failed to complete a construction contract? Is your record, again, that follows you around wherever you go. It follows you around, all right? On a separate sheet, list major construction projects your organization has in progress, giving the name of project, owner, architect, contract amount, percent complete, and schedule completion date. That's kind of like current workload, and it's to know how much you have going on and with who, and we can probably call them up and see how things are going there so that we can get a little bit of a background on them. A state total worth of work in progress and under contract. That's important because that way they show you how busy they are, how solid they are as a company, and whether they're available to do your project or not. If they don't have anything, it might be a good thing, or because they will be available to work with you, but that's also worrisome because it may mean that they don't know enough, or they don't have enough of a reputation and a workload to be able to finance the project as things move forward. Because contractors actually do finance some of the work as it moves forward, because we don't pay them all of the money right away, right? We pay the owner pays an initial deposit, and then upon certain requirements are met, they get another retainer, like a portion of their retainer and a portion of their money. So essentially, they do work with their own money for a little bit. They shouldn't put a lot of it, and that's why the contract is divided into certain progress completions by month, and they should complete it by month so that they can get payment. Then it says on a major sheet, on a separate sheet, list the major projects your organization has completed in the past 5 years, given the name of project, owner, architect, contract amount, date of completion, and percentage of the cost of the work performed with your own forces. That also helps us know how compatible they are with the project that we have. Let's say if it is a high school, we'll see how many of those high schools they've done or similar projects, and how fast they've done it, and how big they were financially, and and where they are, and how much of it was done with their own forces, meaning themselves, not necessarily just GCing the entire job and giving it away to everybody, but things that they actually did. State average annual amount of construction work performed during the past 5 years. That also shows a little bit of solidity and stability on the company that you're working for. So if you are ever to go work for a company, you want to know what they're doing for the past 5 years, for the past 5 years, like what have you been doing, any company. I mean, this is for contractors, but I would say if you are actually applying for a job for an architecture firm, they should show you that they have a solid track record, even if they've been only in business for 3 or 4 years, like Flo has been. Solid track record. That's very important. On a separate sheet, list the construction experience and present commitments of the key individuals of your organization. That's also important because the projects might have been done by Peter, Johnson, and Steve, and they are actually retired, and the new kids don't have that experience that actually showcases all of the work that had been done in the last last 5 years. So that's also important. So they need to put their references, trade references, bank references, and a list of all of those. Surety. And guys, you probably have heard of surety. The word surety refers to sort of insurance company that backs you up financially. And if you have a bond, or if you're bonding, you can get a bond, or you can get insurance. That's also very important. Because if that, even showing that you have the ability of getting an insurance or a bond for X amount is very important to show solvency in the fact that you can actually finance and back up, anything that goes wrong, because life is, we live in an imperfect world, so things happen. So who is the company? What's the name and address of the agent? Then financing. So they require that you show a financial statement. By the way, this is sent out to all of the bidders, like all of the contractors or prospective bidders, as we are doing the qualification process. In fact, in the instruction to bidders, they may have a section that speaks about all of these different things that need to be provided, right? So big requirements, big forms, all of that stuff. And this is all part of the pre-construction activities. This is the due diligence. You've finalized the construction documents, you've sent the drawings to bid, and as you're about to send them to bid, or you're sending them to bid, you are doing this sort of process. So this is in between that line of project development and documentation and construction and evaluation. So again, financial statements, and I'm not going to go too detail into it. Name and address of firm preparing an attached financial statement. Who did that? So typically it's an accounting company that does that. Is the attached financial statement for the identical organization named on the page 1. So why? Because they may put a wrong name or a wrong company and attach it, right? You wouldn't believe the kinds of things that you see on the at the job. They may grab another company's statement, they may grab somebody else's license, they may grab somebody else's resume, and the guys aren't even one company and one entity. They're just pulling it off to try to get this job together, right? But they may not have enough experience, okay? 5.1.4, if not, explain the relationship and financial responsibility of the organization whose financial statements is provided. Because they may provide it from somebody else, but they may be a sub, or they may be like a sister company. There's such thing as a sister company. Like if Flow Design was to actually open Flow Construction, and their sister companies, they're two entities, legal entities, separate, but they may help each other out with some statements and some information to get this project as a design builder. Will the organization whose financial statement is attached act as guarantor or of the contract for construction? So it's like when you go to get a lease for a car or whatever, and you bring somebody with you that will put their information, their affidavits, and their taxes on you. So they have to be responsible. They will act as that guarantor for that purpose. Okay. Then you sign it, not you, but again, the contractor will sign it, and that title it, sign it, the date, and it has to be notarized. It's like very important. It's a very important legal document. It's got to be notarized, and that is our AIA document A305, contractors qualification statements. If anybody has any questions, they can always post them down on our YouTube channel or ask them right now live. Thank you.